What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily Podcast, powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Happy Friday. We are here at the home of the Hurricanes, Duffy's Tavern, right here on the edge of Coral Gables. Over 60-plus years of Canes history all over the walls, all over the tables. You can see it behind us here, the home of the Hurricanes, the cheers of Miami, Florida. Want to roll through here on Saturday. Got all the games on all day. Sunday, NFL, you name it, they got it. Yeah, YouTube TV, no problem. They got everything you need here at Duffy's Tavern. Also, shout out to Anajar Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about is injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Pete, it's Friday. We're feeling good. We've had a long time to decompress and to get our pain out there, to hear everybody else's pain. And now it's time to move forward. Hopefully go 1-0 against a team that we all hate and want to see beaten pretty thoroughly.
Speak for yourself, man. It's been a joyous week for me. Basketball looks fantastic. I can't say there's been much pain this week, man. Last night was a fantastic performance of the basketball team, and things are moving in the right direction there. So tests here in 10 days against Florida. You have Stetson still to come, but we'll get more into that later in the show. We're here at Duffy's. I already know I will find myself back here this afternoon. The odds on that are very, very high. So it's always such a tease to be here at this time of the day. But
you end up coming back.
I'll find myself here. I'm sure.
Yeah. So yeah, great game of basketball yesterday.
And hold on a second, D. I gotta say, your screen is showing right now. You're gonna leak the Lenora Sellers highlights that you've been watching all morning.
That's right. That's right.
Just giving you a little bit of a warning there.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know what's on my screen during these shows. But yeah, probably some Laura Sellers highlights, maybe some like Marlins free agency news, something like that. But anyway,
they're gonna get caught with Stephen A. playing solitaire.
Seriously. But anyways, Laura Sellers. We'll talk about that. We'll say that we got a whole month to talk about all that stuff. We need our current.
We'll say we did post a video about that a month ago.
Just saying. No, we got our own transfer quarterback, Carson Beck. We're about getting him going. Talk to Lance Roffers. Got a lot of recruiting stuff coming up too. We'll talk basketball as well, but we want to bring on Lance Roffers, the man who
Lance is not in here anymore.
Oh, we got to find Lance. Lance offer upon further review on CanesInSight. I'll pull up his article while we're finding him as he disappears here, like the Miami fourth down offense. There you go. You see Lance right there on CanesInSight.com. 7.6 million posts and counting. Everything he does to break down play by play. You see the circles, the little details, hat placement, leverage, assignment football, just all the little things that you get upon rewatch when you know what you're looking at. And that's what you get from Lance Roffers, Hurricane Vision on Twitter, when he's posted his upon further review. Got a comment here. Sometimes it's fun to watch those things. Sometimes it's torture. I think today was probably more of a torturous one for Lance.
Yeah, listen, Lance said before the show, he didn't necessarily agree with the titling of this one, The Ugly Look of Lance Roffers. It has nothing to do with you, Lance.
Very handsome.
It has to do with the team performance. So
Nashville Kane said, just had a BUZZN to help with the pain that Lance is about to deliver. If you want to help with that pain, you know where to go, man. Drink, BUZZN.com, BUZZN. Code FIRST50 for 50% off. You need to drink away the pain. Still there, but you don't want the hangover. BUZZN, 7.5 milligrams of THC in every can. All the hang, no hangover, all bubbles, no troubles. You can get that at Big Daddy's Liquors as well, all across South Florida. BUZZN, that's BUZZN. That's drinkBUZZN.com. Drink, BUZZN.com. All right, we're still tracking down Mr. Roffers.
I'll text Lance.
Well, let's talk basketball real quick while we're waiting for Lance, because that to me is fresh on my mind. You were at the game. I was watching on TV. You were touching wood on the courtside seats, and man, just from afar, it looked to me like the best performance. There's only 2 games. Yeah. The better performance of the two. Opponent is what it is. Bethune probably a little better than what we saw with Jackson. But I thought both of them were better than what we played last year around this time. But Bethune had taken Auburn to overtime, higher level opponent than Jacksonville, and I was very impressed by just the completeness of the performance, the way they finished the half, the way they finished the game. Just seemed like they were locked in.
Yeah, this was a team in Bethune that you figured that Miami would be up for, considering what happened against Auburn. Reggie Theus, we mentioned him being the head coach there, and they have guys who played at the D1 level previously, right? So guys like Arterio Morris, who former Kansas guard, played last night. Jacoby Hetty, who was a guy who averaged 15 at Central Michigan last year. He was a 6'6" guard. He was number 0 if you were at the game. So they had legit talent on that team, right? This was not your typical Bethune sort of team, but Miami handled this one very businesslike. I mean, you got to really like how not only on the defensive side of the floor, they were, I thought, much better than they were game one. This is a team that scored 80 plus against Auburn in that last game. So they're on the defensive side of the ball, but offensively, I think offensively has to be the story. You score over 100 points last night. And again, the 3-point shooting, 8 for 17, which great percentage. You would like to be in that double-digit range per game. But Timo Malovich, he shows what you really brought him here to do, stretching the floor 3 for 3 from the 3-point line. And man, if you can just keep teams honest, you understand it's not going to be your bread and butter. But I said this on the post-game show last night. It just seemed offensively like there weren't any bad shots that I can really think like, man, what is that guy doing shooting that shot? It's like Patrick Ewing, that clip of him like asking the guy, do you practice that shot? Everything was within their game. And guys know their skill sets. I think, I'll tell you what, 1,000%, the way that they've come together already in terms of how they're playing on the floor. I don't care who they're playing against. Like you said it, they did not play cohesively last year, being that it was 12 new players on the team, 11 new players on the team, right? This team right here looks a lot more cohesive. And we'll see what happens now when the talent level, on the opposite side ratchets up. But very excited, man.
Yeah, we'll get back to it here, but we got Lance here. So I know people are waiting for some football talk and some grim recapping with the man, Lance Roffers. Lance, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. It's Friday. Life is good. Sun came up this morning. Everybody's breathing. So life's good. How about you guys?
I feel same way, man.
Fantastic, man. I'm ready to dive into this one, man. I was there in person, so it was.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It was. Listen, I had a smile on my face after the game. After I got on the post-game show live. I got to Buc-ee's within 15, 20 minutes after the game, Lance. I couldn't have been upset.
Well, I certainly was. I know you were, Lance, and watching it at home without the benefit of Buc-ee's. But this is now November 7th, and it seems like every single year, we all know this is the month where things either go from bad to worse or they go from good to bad. Lately, it's been good to bad, so we've at least been better going in, but it's not been good. The thought is,
for sure. I think.
Just, go ahead, Lance. I was gonna say just the tendencies of this team now on full display. September, October, and now November, we see an adjustment. What is happening? We don't have to relitigate the last 20 years, but this particular year. What are teams seeing? What are you seeing when you review this that's allowing them to take advantage here in November?
Yeah, it's pretty much a familiar theme, right, with what you've seen from Mario Cristobal coach teams, especially during his time in Miami. My theory is basically that at the beginning of the year, Miami comes out, they have their foundation, they have kind of their staple. Tendencies haven't been established yet. And when I say tendencies, I mean just basically what a coach is going to revert to in key moments of games, right? You can kind of predict what most coaches are going to do based just on past experiences. And they've got all these analysts that are essentially reviewing all of that, right? And putting together what do they do on 3rd and 5? What do they do on 3rd and 3? What do they do, in every situation? And as you get a little bit more of those games and you have a little bit more data available, coaches are a lot more confident in what your tendencies are going to be. What you see from a lot of coaches is you see some self-scouting as the year goes along, and they say, okay, guys, we've pretty well established that we're going to do X, Y, Z. If you watch our film, we need to have some counters to that, and we need to, proactively build those in. You saw Louisville has done that. Louisville has really changed their offense from the first 5-6 games of the year to one where they're really running more horizontal. Brown getting healthy really helped with that, but they've inserted their tight ends in different ways than they did to start the year, and that's really broken a lot of the rules for the defenses that are playing them, and you're seeing that in their scripts especially. So they're getting off to some of those fast starts against teams, especially against Miami. You've seen SMU has really kind of moved away from, maybe a run heavy scheme that they've had in the past where they really run a lot of that super pace and get their run game going, to where they've really relied on Jennings just a little bit more to throw the ball and really make decisions at the line of scrimmage. And so that's another tendency breaker that they've kind of moved towards. Miami has not really changed their tendencies. In fact, from what I'm seeing, they're leaning into their tendencies more. So what is happening is they're really increasing their conservatism and trying to search for that comfort. This is me thinking what they're probably doing. They haven't called me and told me, but they're looking for that comfort, right? On what is it that is our core competency, and it's that line of scrimmage, it's that power in the offensive line, it's those condensed splits. Yeah, right. It's those condensed splits. It's, staying ahead of schedule, getting 3-4 yards on every play, as opposed to, getting some of those negative plays. I have really seen Miami on offense has leaned into, we're going to just make sure that we keep the ball and we don't mess up. And what's happening is that's inviting a lot of variance into these games. There were plays that when I was reviewing the SMU where all 11 of the SMU defenders were in the box on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, right? And as a defense, you simply cannot cover the entire field in that alignment. You are absolutely relying on the fact that your opponent is going to run into that space if you defend it that way. And Miami has done so repeatedly. On the board, there's someone who keeps, repeating that something like 22 straight 3rd and 4th and 1 and 2s they've run, inside. I haven't verified that myself, but you can certainly see it on film, right? That this is a trend that they're doing. And when I'm talking about tendencies, right, everybody's going to have their plays that they revert to, that they're going to run, right? 60, 70% of the time. That's okay. But you do need to balance that with, having counters off of that a certain percentage of times to really kind of put that doubt into the mind of your opponent, right? Last year, you saw that often. You saw a pretty famous 4th and 1, where Cam play fakes and hits Arroyo down the middle of the field. Some of those things, if you had the confidence in your quarterback to be able to make those plays, I do believe that you might see that more often. But we are running into some familiar patterns with Beck as well. Multiple times I have pointed out that, Carson Beck tends to make mistakes when you change the picture post-snap on him. And his interceptions tend to be exactly that, right? Where his first read, he expects to be able to hit his glance or his choice to the slot. Those are something that, Miami's offense really leans into, those two in particular. And what is happening is the defense is changing their alignment and the way that they're covering that glance and choice post-snap. And Beck's mechanics are kind of falling apart. The ball's sailing on him or it's late, and that's where we're really seeing interceptions. It's not from a quarterback IQ standpoint as much as he is having the picture changed on him, and then his mechanics are falling apart. So those are some of the things that I'm seeing.
Luke Kane, our buddy, he's talked a little bit about Beck being much better pre-snap than post-snap. So I hear that. But what I'm thinking is 3rd and short, 4th and short. They have to respect your power run game. You got a guy who's won 30 games in college, and I was talking to some NFL people. I mean, not to act like I'm some kind of insider with the NFL, but there's people I know that work in that league who have evaluated Beck, and they still think he's like, maybe not first round pick, but he'll get picked maybe somewhere late day 2 or day 2, early day 3. If you can't beat a defense that is playing the run with numbers, with a quarterback that's a mid-round pick, would be probably a higher draft pick than any of our quarterbacks we've had since Steve Walsh besides Ward, and then has all that experience, like, what do you need to beat a loaded Bach with the pass? That's like, how much do we need to catch teams off guard in these short yardage situations?
I mean, there are so many counters that are available to what the defense is doing and showing on those short yardage plays that Miami is completely ignoring. So I don't know the play call, obviously. I don't know what freedom Beck has at the line of scrimmage to be able to make some of these checks. But we've all heard Dawson. We've all heard Lashley. We've all heard Braum. We've heard these established, high-end, well-respected offensive coordinators talk about the fact that playing quarterback at the line of scrimmage is a numbers game in so many ways, right? You get to the line of scrimmage, it's a numbers. If they have 7, 8, then you're going to do this. If they have 5, you're going to run this. And what I'm seeing is a quarterback who is being very robotic in running the play over and over and over. And there aren't any checks at the line of scrimmage. There's no way that you can convince me on the 4th yard or the 4th and 1 that was stuffed, where we have a scat back running the ball, by the way, and we have 11 defenders inside the tackle boxes. A couple of them are covering wide receivers, but they're still at the line of scrimmage. You have 11 defenders right in that area. Are you telling me that you don't have a glance? You don't have a fast to flat. You don't have a boot. You don't have a read that a quarterback can check into at the line of scrimmage on a 4th down play in opponent territory? Because if that's the case, then we have coaching malpractice. And I don't believe that we have coaches that are inept, right? I do believe they know what they're doing to get to this level and to hold their jobs as long as they have. I think right now you've got a confidence problem in your quarterback. I think you've got a situation where he either doesn't have the freedom or he doesn't have the confidence to make some of those checks. And I think at this point, you have defenses that have established what they're going to do to Miami, and it's up to Miami to really make their counters now. All of this is like a beautiful dance, right? Where one opponent comes out and something's working, and then, you're going to make a counter to it, and then offenses are going to adjust, defenses are going to adjust. We've seen it for 30 years, right? We've seen the spread revolution. We've seen the mint tight fit revolution. We've seen Rip Liz revolution for the pattern match coverages. We've seen all these revolutions that are happening throughout sports. And now it's just the same thing, right? Where this offense that Miami is running, defenses are countering and saying, what are you going to do to beat this now? And then in the last several games, Miami hasn't been able to, whether that's because they want to continue to be stubborn and force that, inside run because that's their identity, or because they just don't have the counters available to them right now for whatever reason.
Lance, it looks like the personnel is going to be a little different this week in terms of CJ Daniels questionable here, and I don't expect him to play. Tony Johnson's been listed as out as well. We've seen them obviously be pretty hard-headed, I guess the word would be, in terms of the personnel they're using 2 tight ends as much as they have been, even though neither of them have been, effective for the most part. So now that you're going to be missing a couple of receivers here, we saw what JoJo did last week. I mean, was there anything you saw from, and we bring it up every week, but I think it is important. We have to mention the aspect that he brought to the offense last week. I mean, anything you saw there that could be built upon?
Yeah, so I'm still a little bit of a fuzzy connection and really didn't catch your question there. I think you're kind of asking about, like, with the 2 tight ends maybe not contributing as much as possible and some of the receivers out. What am I seeing from them? Is that a pretty good paraphrase on what
and with what JoJo did last week? I mean, anything you saw there that could kind of be built upon, excuse me.
Yeah, I think you saw exactly what you've seen from JoJo for the last couple of years, right? You've seen a very talented player that has the ability to make some big plays, but he also can't always be trusted. I believe that interception that, he caused by having the ball go right off of his hands was the turning point in this game, right? I believe if that doesn't happen, Miami wins this game and probably wins it by double digits. He has in my opinion, he has a flaw in the way that he is trying to catch those balls and cradle them. I've gotten some pushback from more than one person, so I could be wrong. That could absolutely be the way that they're coaching that. But in my opinion, the way that they're trying to soft cradle that ball on some of those plays is going to lend itself to that variance that you saw, right? He caught one and had a nice touchdown, great play, really kind of got the game going for them. But then the other one was a perfect throw that, kind of bounced off his hands to a defender and led to a touchdown the other way. And instead of, Miami being up by 2 scores, now it's a tie game. I believe that, you really just have a player right now that's difficult to trust. All the talent in the world, but, is he going to put it together and do and be and get into the spots that he's supposed to? I saw a little bit of both for him. And, he also made a heck of a catch down the sideline, another point down in the game, right, where we actually, I believe, down, on that drive got stopped. It was, yeah. Down, yeah. And I believe in that drive is when we had all the penalties and kind of got pushed back out of field goal range, and just really that's its own little category of all the penalties and the mistakes that the offense is making at this point. They're self-inflicted. I think you got to continue to ride JoJo. I think you got to continue to put him out there, work on some of that consistency. That's going to be one of the ways that it happens because he's so much more talented than some of the other players that have gotten opportunities, and because he brings that vertical dimension that maybe some of the others haven't. I haven't believed that Keelan Marion has been especially consistent or, done the things that JoJo I just kind of criticized for to enough degree to play him over JoJo personally. So that's kind of my thought on that.
Lance, before we go any further, let's talk about the folks who make this possible here to do the segment Upon Further Review with Lance Roffers, and that's Kanata Financial. You own a small business like myself. Don't be your accountant. Don't be your bookkeeper. There's too much time that you're wasting doing that, and you can be focusing on being your CEO and building the business. Call Kanata Financial to be your bookkeeper, be your accountant, be your CFO, and allow you to do what you do. All right, Lance? You're a numbers guy.
Yeah, so this is kind of what I do, and I do it for large corporations, and I see it all the time. I see people that want to kind of plug in their numbers or create plans for themselves, and what really can happen a lot of times is you're using data in a way that's mostly correct, but maybe it misses out on a big picture. You lose an opportunity. We're all focused on what our contribution margin is, and maybe we're getting a decent contribution margin with some of the decisions that we're making, but we're leaving some on the table because we're either misunderstanding the data or not forecasting in a way that we could. We do the bookkeeping, but maybe we don't do it quite as streamlined as we could, or we're missing out on some opportunities. I think that the cost benefit analysis that these small businesses are going to make is really going to tilt towards using a pro like our friend at Kanata Financial, and he's one of us. He's a Canes fan as well, transplant out there in Atlanta, but still comes out and sees all this for the last several years. So give him a call. Visit his website at kanatafinancial.com and let's take that off of our hands and get back to running your business and growing it the way you need to.
Yeah, shout out to Sebastian, lifelong Cane, 786-213-3909 or kanatafinancial.com. That's 2 N's, Kanata Financial. So Lance, I don't want to have you as long today, so I want to make sure we get to this. You've seen the film painstakingly. There's 4 games left. Obviously, there's a lot of disappointment. There's a lot of concern about this whole future being out of our hands with the playoff and everything else. But these are 4 very important games. You're not going to change everything on November 7th. What are some things that Miami can do now, realistically, to give them a better chance to go 4-0 and then potentially move into the postseason and do some damage there?
Yeah, they've got to do exactly what we've talked about all pod so far. They've got to self-scout, identify what those tendencies are and what it is that the defenses right now are doing to them to really cause them problems. I'll tell you, right now, what I've seen the last 3 weeks, and I got some notes over here, which is why I'm looking off to the side. But, Miami's passing game, they're really built around first read leverage wins. So they want to give the quarterback, any air raid wants to simplify plays, right, and make it where the quarterback just has that first read available and open. And, they really thrive on choice routes, which is something that I really enjoy. And I think, you've got a star wide receiver who runs choice routes excellently. So given that option, I have no problems with building your offense that way. They really like to run that glance post off of RPO. And, you kind of saw they don't just run a glance post. They also run a glance choice, honestly. And that choice a lot of times is a whip because Tony runs that so well. Your slot really runs your choice a lot in this offense. And we've got a lot of half field progression concepts. If you read my Upon Further Reviews, I've criticized Beck more than once about the fact that, he's missed something on the far side or the short side, whichever one it's going to be. And a lot of that runs from the fact that we're running half field progression concepts. When I really dive into it, you can see that the quarterback's really not even looking at the read that I'm saying he's missing post snap. Most likely that's the one, if you think about, progressions as a 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And the one a lot of times in an air raid offense is going to be pre-snap. And so if he's open pre-snap, you're going there. But if he's not, post-snap, you're not even looking there a lot of times as your quarterback. I like a quarterback who's not a robot and can still, make a play and do those things. But that really hasn't been back to this point. So what defenses are doing is they're starting in too high right now. They're really trying to invite that glance because Miami runs it so much, and that's so much of a tendency for them. And then what they're doing is they're rotating late. So after the snap, and I talk about post-snap a lot, changing that picture, which is taking away that glance window. And once Beck sees that glance window go away, what you see it on film, his base, his mechanics are falling apart, right? His base is narrowing, his shoulders are closing, and you're seeing that ball float. And whether it floats and gets tipped and intercepted, or whether it floats in the sense that it's losing velocity, that is something you're seeing a lot with Beck over these last 3 weeks as defenses are really trying to have late rotation pressure on him. He's such a first read, pre-snap, based quarterback. He's really timing based. He wants to get the ball out quick. He wants to hit that first read. And if that first read is open, I think Beck's an elite quarterback. That's why he's going to be an NFL quarterback, right? He's got the size. He's got the arm. He has the intelligence. It's just the same thing you see with the Dolphins and with Tua and those people, right? Where if the picture's changing post-snap, right now things are falling apart for him and he's not having the ability to make some of those plays. And it's the same thing I saw at Georgia. I called this out before the Louisville game and said I hope that, Louisville doesn't do that too much and get turnovers. We've seen it come to fruition. And to answer your question in a very long-winded way, Miami has to have an answer to that. To the fact that Stanford did the same thing, guys. And, it really impacted us in the first half of that game. And second half of the game, obviously they were able to take control a little bit with some turnovers and some physicality that started winning. But that's what's really started to happen. And so SMU, they did the same thing. They ran too high pre-snap, but they ended up running single or post safety 83% of their snaps in that game. Pre-snap, they threw too high more than 50% of the time. So if you just kind of do the conversion of the math there, that's how often they were changing the picture post-snap, and it really bothered Beck.
How much longer we got you, Lance?
Yeah, you got me another 10 minutes or so.
Beautiful. All right. On the defensive side of the ball, just what are you seeing from Miami's defense? I thought they were pretty good here until obviously overtime when they threw in the towel, which is disappointing to see. There's some comments about maybe you press a little bit more, right? You got big athletic corners who can press. Why are you not getting into it, disrupting some of these routes? Do you have any thoughts on the way we're playing with our corners and the defense in general?
Yeah, so it's a safety-based system. So much in the secondary. You really want to be able to rotate those guys, insert them into different places. That's why you're really running a lot of bail and off coverage, right? To kind of protect for the fact that your safeties aren't going to be where they are pre-snap in this defense the majority of the time, right? And in this system, you're asking your defensive ends, your 4 eyes a lot of time to spill. I've talked all about that, right? Kind of getting on the outside shoulder of the offensive tackle or Roscoe. You hear me say that a lot, rush outside, contain on edge. You've got your outside linebacker, your overhang, whichever one it is. He's going to lever and cap. So he's going to be leveraging. He's going to be capping outside or capping, C gaps, trying to force things back inside. Your inside backers, again, I kind of talked about them a lot as well. They're really trying to fill fast, right? So they want to get downhill. They want to be vertical, which plays into, Teray and some of those people's strengths of getting downhill and vertical. So that's absolutely something you want your inside backers to do. But your safeties, they've got to fill late. They've got to, identify route contributions. They've got to be creepers in this offense, which is just like it sounds, right? They kind of creep into a fit or they creep into a pressure package. What is happening so much right now, offenses are using condensed splits to identify where those creepers are going to be coming in, right? Because they get a step in, they identify where that overhang is, and they're sliding their center to the overhang because Miami, again, has those tendencies. They have the tendencies on offense, but they're doing the same on defense as well. And offenses have correctly identified that and are sliding their center to the overhang side. So often right now, that's where the pressure's coming from. And so those creepers, when you have an overhang drop out and a creeper settle in, it's no longer a 5 pressure package. It's now just 4 with a defensive end or an overhang offensive lineman like a Lightfoot trying to drop and cover. And that's not what you want at all, right? And so offenses are catching the defense's post-snap rotations, which is the opposite problem the offense is having, right? So Stanford, they did a great job of identifying the creeper side pre-snap, and that was just a static 4-man rush with a defensive lineman dropping. I kind of talked about that. Louisville used those condensed formations. I talked about it on this very podcast that they were going to use those condensed formations to really be able to widen Miami's apex and get some of those gap bubbles and some of those crossers behind to where your linebackers are late or they're too shallow. And so they hit it behind. They did that with Bell several times in that game. SMU, they really they abandoned their run in this game and just identified that, hey, we can fill the post-snap picture of what Miami's trying to do over and over and over with that glance, with that comeback, with that fast to flat. And it took Miami a little time to adjust on that in the second half. And in fact, maybe they never really did, right? Because of the way that overtime period went. But those are the things that I'm seeing on film. I'm seeing tendencies on both sides. I've seen the last 3 weeks. Offenses have kind of identified what some of those weaknesses are and are attacking it. I don't think our weakness is really so much just the fact that we're not pressing or doing some of those things. I think it's the offenses have identified a little bit of the weaknesses of Miami's system, which those mint tight fronts, we've kind of already talked about what those weaknesses are. And now it's up to Miami's defense to adjust to what the offense is doing.
Lance, I know it's Syracuse week, but you talked a lot about Josh Gaddis, creeper there. I wasn't expecting that. Anyways, more about defensive line. Ruben Bain, I don't know that enough has been made about. You need him to be dominant for this defense to be as good as they can be. And it just hasn't, the production has not been there. And I know it's more than sacks with him. But you talked about what they're doing in terms of those adjustments when they bring the guys up near the line of scrimmage. Do you see anything with Bain in terms of how teams are game planning for him? Does it look like maybe he just lost some steam at this part of the season? I mean, what do you see from him and how teams are attacking him?
Yeah, I mean, early in the season, Bain was basically the best player in the country, right? I mean, that is difficult to continue that pace for one thing. Two, teams have kind of figured out that getting into his legs are really one of the best ways to, block him at the point of attack, because you're not going to do it with just standing up and power and speed. The guy's better than pretty much every offensive tackle he's played. So cutting him has been pretty effective. He's not the springy type that's going to sprawl and get off that super athletically and quickly. So that's something that Louisville really introduced, and he struggled with a lot. And quite frankly, he has gotten held a whole lot on these film reviews that I'm doing. I've seen his face mask pulled. I've seen him pulled down. I've seen, individuals just blatantly grab him. I think that's part of the tactics that teams are really employing with Bane, is they're not going to call them all. And to this point, they're hardly calling any of them. So, I don't want to be whiny about officials, because Miami has put themselves in this position, and it is not the officials' fault in any of these games that they've lost, really. But they certainly haven't helped. I feel like they've made lots of mistakes that could have been called against Bane in particular.
The running game. We were top 5 in the nation last year in yards per carry. Now we're down in the 80s. Some of that was Cam Ward moving safeties back, but you had much better production, over 5 yards a carry with TVD and Parrish and Chaney, not exactly world beaters, and then over at Oregon with Anthony Brown. So how can we get this running game back rolling where, 3.9 yards a carry is absurd for what you expect given the history and the talent on this team?
Some of that, and I'm going to go back and guys, I wrote a long review of Carson Beck. I was highly in favor of getting him. This is not revisionist history. I did say those things. I think Carson Beck is absolutely contributing to that through his decisions. I believe he's got to pull the ball more on some of these RPOs, and he's got to throw it. He's got to get the defense off of some of these play calls that are inside runs. If he's just running the play call as it's called over and over and over, and never punishing the defense for what they're doing with their linebackers and what they're doing inside the box, you're going to continue to see reduction in your run game. And not all of that is because of an offensive line, right? Let's say you've got 7 blockers and you've got 9 defenders fitting the run all inside. That is very difficult to, sustain an offense. More than once on these upon further reviews, I'm calling out, I don't know if Beck has the ability to pull this ball and throw it. But what I'm really saying there is Beck should be pulling this darn ball and throwing it. This guy is open. And, it's a chance for a big play and not a 3-yard run or heaven knows, a punt. So a lot of that is we have got to get more aggressive on pulling the ball and punishing these defenses. It is not just about the number of people that are in the box right now. It is also the depth that the linebackers are playing. I am telling you, they are 1 yard at least further ahead than what the standard alignment is. And what that means is your offensive line has less time to get to the second level, to cut them off. You've got reduced angles. You have no cutbacks when the linebackers are inserting into the A's and the B's the way they are right now, because they know you're going to run it. And that's the bottom line. Quarterbacks got to punish them.
That's one big thing that's different from Ward and Beck, which I've heard is, Beck was Ward was much more likely to change plays. He just had no shame doing it, and he was often very effective doing it. There were a couple times where maybe you wish he didn't, but most of the time it worked out well. Number 1 offense in the country, number 1 overall pick. Whereas Beck, what I've heard with him is if you call an aggressive play, he's going to run it aggressively, right? But it's not going to be as automatic as Ward, where he's going to do a lot of that himself. So I think that's something, as you learn more about how Beck operates and how Ward operates, maybe some of the adjustment, he's got to make adjustments, but also you got to kind of help him out and call the game aggressively, right? To help if he's not going to do it himself when given the option. It'd be great because RPO is such an advantage when you're making good decisions, but maybe some of it comes from the booth and they're just, these are pure play action pass options to get the ball down the field.
If you know it and you're not in the room, then they know it, right? And what that tells me is they're deciding not to. For whatever reasons, it's either because they're conservative, I'll repeat with a nice verb or adjective, but, whatever it is, they're choosing to do that for whatever reason, right? Maybe it's because they've they're scarred from CJ Daniels dropping a 4th down pass. That was a perfect throw, by the way, and was wide open. Maybe they're scarred with Beck having a 4 interception game against Louisville. And that's the reason we lost that game, right? Is because of those interceptions. Or maybe they just want their blankie, and their blankie is the offensive line and that inside run game, and they just want to continue running it.
It's a thin blanket.
If they continue,
it's a very thin blanket.
Yeah, right now.
Exactly. And you have given away, in my opinion, and I'm not trying to be mean, but you have given away the best team that we've had in the last 23 years because you're conservative. I believe that it comes across as scared. There is no way that you should have lost that SMU game with the way you moved the ball, with the way that you had opportunities in the opponent's territory. And what happened was you played not to lose in so many respects. And guys, I have been very kind, not to go off on my upon further review in other areas, to kneel the ball with 25 seconds to go in college football, where you just need 30 yards to try a field goal and a timeout, it is one of the weakest, most conservative decisions I can ever remember, and really needs to be looked at in that building.
Oof. There it is. And nice. You're a numbers guy. When you hear, hey, the analytics say do this, and just kind of going off the paper, which candidly, I like the paper as an alternative to what we saw maybe in 2023, but clearly you don't feel you just can go off that paper and analytics. I mean, whose analytics, what are you looking at, et cetera? Like, they're not all created equal. What do you take when you hear something like that, hey, I'm just going off the analytics and what the paper says?
Guys, that comes across pretty gutless to me. That comes across where somebody else told me, it's not my fault. You are the head coach making more money than any of us will ever see in our lives. And you are paid to make those decisions, and you are paid to win games. And right now, you're not doing that. And to hide behind analytics or hide behind, that's what the sheet told me to do, guys, is cowardly.
Lance not pulling punches.
Let me tell you something, Lance. You're giving me some great clickbait material here today. I mean, I know you didn't like the title of today's show, but the word cowardly might have to be thrown around today on the CanesInSight YouTube.
Because I don't say things like that often. You
don't. That's why it's hidden me.
But that's how it came across to me, and it was disappointing.
Love it. Lance, you're the man. Appreciate you. Thank you to Kanata Financial for this segment. As always, remember to visit KanataFinancial.com. Don't be a CFO. Don't be an accountant, a bookkeeper. Be a CEO of your company and let other people handle those numbers so you can better understand and make decisions for your company. Lance, you're the man. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Take care. Bye-bye.
Go Canes.
Scuba Steve said stop interrupting him. We were having a little bit of communication issues there, so if we were cutting him off a couple times,
I apologize.
That's our fault. But we normally have Lance have the open floor there, so
he's the man. All right, so Rocco saying D cutting Lance off. Yeah, I'm sorry, we're a little delayed.
Listen, man, I was on fire on the post game, man, and all of a sudden my connection got a little spotty there, very, very, very weirdly. I got cut off of the post game show as well.
So, all right, Pete, real quick, before we move on to a topic that I know everybody wants to hear about, two topics: recruiting this weekend and portal speculation, our favorite thing in the world, right? Let's talk about KashKick.com and the Play It Forward campaign. The rare triple win. Get KashKick app, download that on your phone. Get all your games that you play on your phone in one spot all together. Download the app with those puzzle games, RPGs, you name it, action games, sports. They got it on the app. Play your game while you're playing. You're making money on the side. This is a fully legit app, 4.5 plus average rating on the App Store, 1.5 million plus downloads, and you make money on the side just by playing games. And while the advertisers are paying you, they are paying an equivalent amount to the American Cancer Society help with the disease that's affected all of us. The rare triple win KashKick app and the Play It Forward campaign. All right, so we got a million texts about this, so we got to talk about it. We did a video several weeks ago, just kind of speculating, went viral. That speculation, which at that time, really, I wasn't even going off any info. It wasn't. I really wasn't. I was just speculating, kind of putting pieces together.
I don't know, man. I'm a little bit, I know how D works, guys. I'm a little bit skeptical of this one. He holds info from me sometimes, man, and I think this might be one of those cases.
Well, what you have here is you have a lot of national people talking about Lenora Sellers, quarterback of South Carolina, potentially as a portal target for the Miami Hurricanes. Look, a lot of names. We're going to talk about all the portal names over the course of this time period through January. I'm sure we'll hear about. Well, first, we got to see who jumps in, but the Cal quarterback JKS, he is obviously going to be a hot name with some of the arm talent he showed as a young player. CJ Bailey, we'll see him in a couple weeks. That's going to be a name people talk about if he does enter the portal. But Lenora Sellers that name's out. Todd McShay, you heard him say that's the buzz from scouts he's talking to. You heard Matt Miller from ESPN say similar things. So it's not just us kind of spitballing. Look at the numbers. Way down, average yards per attempt, which was 8.5 last year, down to 7.6. Completion percentage, 66 last year, down to 61. 1,500 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Quarterback rating down almost 20 points. So clearly the production's gone down a bit. Even the running, last year, 674 yards, 7 touchdowns. This year, 158 yards, 3 touchdowns. So there's a reason why we're not talking about Lenora Sellers going to the NFL, which is where, I talk to NFL people, not Adam Schefter, but I do have some people I talk to, and I love NFL draft content, former scouts, guys that are plugged into the NFL world, not just like, these mock drafters that are just throwing stuff to the wall. And this was a real NFL prospect, first-round prospect going into the year, according to the NFL. Clearly, the stock has dropped. That's why he's not an automatic lock to go to the NFL. Pete, do you think Lenora Sellers, for all of his strengths and his weaknesses, could be a fit in this Miami offense going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to obviously, it's not going to look the same. It's not going to look exactly how it's looked. You haven't had an element of the quarterback run in your team here under Shannon Dawson, and you have to have that as part of the game plan with him. And I think, could it be a fit because of what the protection offensive line wise is? Yes, I think because people. We've been talking about on my Discord the last 24 hours, and some people are like, man, do you think a guy like that would want to come here based on what he's seen this year? People have to understand the rationale behind some of these decisions. A lot of these decisions aren't, in terms of transfer portal, isn't based off of what just happened there. There's, hey, this is what it was. There's missing pieces here. You can be a piece to helping solve that. I think when Cam Ward came to Miami, what did the staff have to sell? Similar things to here, except now you actually have, hey, Ward was here. We turned him from an undrafted free agent, which was what the case was. He was an undrafted free agent, late round pick. He came to Miami and upped the stock based on the resources and things that were at his disposal here. So I think the pitch could be very strong in terms of Sellers. The fit, I have to still see some different things to say that it just slots in and is a perfect fit for the offense. But I'm betting on the talent, no matter what. And I'm also keeping an eye on Sam Levitt at Arizona State. Those are 2 names right now that I'm keeping an eye on if I'm a Miami fan. Yeah, and let's talk about Sam Levitt too, because we should mention him. That one, I've heard his name a lot, and not just from you, Pete, but I know you're coming from a position of sourcing. So when there's smoke, there's fire. As I look at Sam Levitt, I don't understand why he would leave as much, considering that he already transferred from Oregon to Arizona State, right? He went to the playoffs last year. He's not having an outstanding season. I mean, his yards per attempt dropped from 8.2 to 6.8, 24 touchdowns last year, 10 this year, still some games left to play. Quarterback rating also dropped 20 points. So really, it's funny. I think of Sellers as having a really big drop-off and Levitt kind of being similar when I watch him. But then you look at the stats. Levitt's stats have actually dropped pretty similar fashion. I like Levitt, man. He can move. He's a good passer, a tough playmaker, got the good attitude. But I think he also, as you look at the stats, could probably use some rehabilitation. I don't know. To me, Dillingham staying there,
it doesn't seem like he would leave, but you're hearing smoke, man. It's not just you. There's been smoke around this guy for a couple of years.
Yeah, I just, sometimes he's obviously been a really good quarterback there. He's put himself in position to be a draft pick. He has the injury this year, but sometimes you just need to change. And I'm not saying that's the case right here, right now, but there's smoke there, and it's something that I would keep an eye on. And Sellers for sure. I definitely think there's smoke there.
Yeah, if you're comparing the two, I like both guys, right? I think both guys would be good. And I am a portal fiend, right? I always want portal quarterbacks. People are like, how you want these portal quarterbacks so much? The reason, and I've gone through this a million times, and you don't have to, no one has to agree with me, but this is just kind of my thought process on it. Not only do you have much more of a feel for what the player is than you do a high school kid, because you've seen them play real games. Levitt's been in the playoffs. Sellers has played, who's who of tough defenses. So you got all the film on their strengths, weaknesses. Hey, we can help them with this. We can, this something we got to accentuate. But they also have gotten a lot of their bad reps out. Doesn't mean they're coming in perfect, but a lot of their pure learning curve. I just haven't played college football. I need to see this. I need to see this situation. They've seen it, right? So getting that with another team, taking those losses elsewhere, and then coming to Miami already past that, I think is a huge advantage of always getting these portal quarterbacks. And I just don't see good quarterbacks coming out of high school and then sticking with the team that signed them and then going on to the NFL, like the high-level guys. I'll pull up right now the quarterback class of 2022, right? So this is going to be Mario's first year, so 4 years ago. And if you look at the quarterbacks in this class, just pull it up here on, there we go. All right, let's look at the quarterbacks in this class. Ty Simpson is your classic example of it working, right? Because Ty Simpson waited his turn, and he's really, really playing great football for Alabama. So Ty Simpson's this is like a.
Are we allowed to give Isaiah Horton a shout out?
Listen, not a bad call.
I don't see people too upset at him in the comments anymore.
But look, so here you go. Drew Aller, I think most people will be disappointed with his level of production. I don't hear people asking for him in the portal. I take that as a sign that they probably don't want him. Okay, Klubnik's been a big disappointment. Weigman transferred. Ty Simpson, great. Devin Brown transferred. Walker Howard transferred. Gunnar Stockton playing pretty good ball for Georgia. I think he's been better than at least I expected him to be. The weapons around him are helping. Nick Evers transferred a bunch of times. Malik Murphy transferred a bunch of times. Brady Alliant transferred a bunch of times. That's 2022. That's Mario's first year. That was the transition year. Fast forward to the next year, right? Arch Manning, I think he's going to be good, but TBD. Nico has transferred already. Dante Moore has transferred already. Jackson Arnold transferred already and struggling. Malachi Nelson transferred a million times. Jaden Rashada transferred a million times. Benched at Sacramento State. Aiden Childs transfer. Austin Mack transfer. Avery Johnson. Would you be that excited to get him? I think Lenore Sellers is a better player than him. Chris Vizina, you saw him play one game for Clemson and lose. Lincoln Kleinholz, I'm not that familiar with his game. Eli Holstein transferred to Pitt and got benched. So again, that's 2023. So let's look at 2024 with the quarterbacks. This is the Jeremiah Smith year. This was the year that Miami signed Judd Anderson, right? CJ Bailey probably should have been the pick in retrospect, looking at how it turned out. DJ Lagway, I don't know how people feel about him. Dylan Raiola, a lot of ups and downs. Sane, very good player, but you see the A next to his name. He's technically a portal guy, went to Ohio State. Luke Kromenhoek, transfer. Walker White, transfer. CJ Carr, that's a good one. Aaron Nolan, transfer. Brunkermeyer, nothing there. Jaden Davis, nothing there. Puglisi, nothing there. So again, these are the top 10 quarterbacks. I'm not even looking down the line. So the point is, it's hard to project these guys out of high school. It's just hard. And when you get a guy like a Sellers or a Levitt, regardless of their warts, you at least know what their warts are and you can work around them. They've worked on some of them. They've had time to improve on some of those, and you can accentuate their strengths. In Sellers' case, I think the strengths are elite strength. Probably the strongest quarterback I've seen in college since Tim Tebow. I don't think that's hyperbole. I mean, he's stupid strong. Josh Allen in the pros would be another one to be in that category. Cam Newton probably too. But I mean, he's in that category just from a strength standpoint, not the overall game. He's got a cannon arm, not as accurate as he needs to be. Layering, throws, touch, that's all areas where he could improve. He's missing. He's had terrible offensive line play at South Carolina, bad receiver play, stiff. receivers, not the best route runners, but he's missed some easy throws as well. But the arm strength's there. And what I like about Sellers, which is why I think he's someone that I would like to bet on, he's got great, from all accounts, elite character, like just a coach's dream, both on the field from his toughness and the way he competes, and then his attitude and the way he works. So I think that's a good thing.
I laughed right now because it would be one of the more ironic things ever if the reason he ends up in Miami is because their offensive coordinator, Mike Shula, a Columbus guy, did a terrible job with him this year after missing out on the Columbus kid last year.
Shout out
to
Columbus.
Crazy. The Columbus cartel. Let me tell you something. Maybe there is truth to it. Always working behind the scenes.
Always working. I'm not even a Columbus guy. People think I'm a Columbus guy, man. I'm a Belen guy. Columbus is a rival, but I mean, I got to give respect when it's good. And Mike Shula, thank you for being bad if you get this guy. A lot of comments, comparisons of Sellers to Anthony Richardson. I would say the big difference between Sellers and Anthony Richardson. First of all, I think Sellers, quite frankly, works harder. I mean, Anthony Richardson, if I believe, is an MC, right? He's a rapper, right, Pete? I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Anthony Richardson has a second career as a rapper, which, you know, that's fine. We've seen people do that and have plenty of success in the world. Quarterback, I'd rather not have that career maybe until after retirement. Just because you got to be locked in, man. And Sellers is one of those guys that's locked in. I see much more intangible qualities with Sellers than I do with an Anthony Richardson. I think Sellers is a better runner than Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson, on paper, was a good runner. He was super fast. He was huge. But, like, how many times did you see Anthony Richardson just run people over and break tackles? I mean, he was hurt more than he was hurting people, right? I mean, he felt like the most physical runner despite being the biggest guy in the world, kind of had a big target and took a lot of hard hits, whereas Sellers, I think, is much more powerful. I like the power running game for quarterbacks in college. Maybe it's not the best way to develop them to pros, but you saw Tim Tebow, one of the best college players of all time, because you had the power running game.
That becomes the issue for me, man. That's the only thing I'm a little bit concerned about with the Sellers thing is you got to think that his team around him is going to say, all right, this year is to get us ready. Not that Miami, again, just did it with Beck, a guy who was going to go undrafted before he came to Miami. You get a Sellers in there, there has to be a real plan as to how you're going to use him. There's going to be how are you going to protect him also? We don't want him to get run into the ground, right? There's going to be an aspect of that. So are you going to be able to use him to really what his strengths are? Or are you going to have to play him in a role that you had to get him here and you had to make certain promises as to how he's going to look in the offense? And that's the interesting thing to me. And I think he has the capabilities, right? Like, he has the talent, but I don't think he hasn't put it all together in a polished aspect to show that just yet. No,
and you're right, Pete. You're going to have to, part of the Sellers, you're going to have to say we're going to pass the ball, right? And he has a good arm. One thing we could say a lot of things about this offensive line and how disappointing they've been from a run blocking standpoint. I think especially from a penalty standpoint has been the biggest issue with our offensive line. But Sellers, if you get him that much time, he will have running options. And when he's not running for his life, but he's running opportunistically, now you really could be in some tough situations because, yeah, you could give Sellers all day to throw and maybe he won't find the lane. Maybe it's just, his passing's not there. His vision's not there. But, man, he can punish you running in a way that Cam Ward could not do, certainly Beck cannot do. Really no quarterback we've had, maybe De'Ara King, but he doesn't have the finish that Lenore Sellers has. He can really, really hurt you with this much time, just as a runner, forgetting the other stuff he can do.
Travis, who we know does not like the portal QBs, he says, no more portal QBs will we ever learn. My brother, the situation would be as upset as we are right now. The situation would be dire right now if Carson Beck was not starting in Miami. Maybe they could have brought someone else in. Maybe they could have. I don't know. I don't think Beck's the root of the issues. I think maybe there's definitely something there, right, where there's limitations. But if he was not starting right now, you got one of the other guys starting right now, Miami would probably have won 2 games this season.
Yeah, how about 2 games?
I think 2 games.
It could have been.
I think it'd be 2.
It would have been ugly. I don't want to think about. Ugly. I don't want to think about.
And by the way, if you don't get another transfer portal this year, it'll be very ugly next year.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of Miami, let's just talk about the Miami Hurricanes, right? So Ken Dorsey, obviously a high school kid.
I think Rocco makes a good point here, though. When we talk about the portal. I think that's why Malik Washington from Maryland's an intriguing one to me.
He'd be
potentially. I mean,
love him.
But sorry to cut you off.
No, you cut me off. I ramble on this topic a lot. JKS from Cal, another one I think is interesting. Great arm talent. CJ Bailey potentially would have multiple years. So those are all guys to consider. Obviously, I like CJ Bailey a lot. We've talked about him. We'll see him in 2 weeks, and I'm terrified of that game.
Let me tell you something. If you guys, we're talking about how there's no trust in Beck right now. We saw what the trust was in the other guy in the bowl game last year. So, like, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for.
That's a good point. And I think Beck is honestly, I mean, Beck's a good quarterback. He's not perfect, but we've seen quarterbacks that kill you. I wouldn't put him in that category. So we'll see how Beck finishes, though. I mean, he's still got 4 games to show what he can do as a Cane. If you look at Miami, Cam Ward was the first overall pick. He converted a whole generation of Canes fans. My kids are Canes fans because of Cam Ward. I've gotten so many texts and messages from people they're so happy their kids are Canes fans because they wanted to be Cam Ward in the backyard. So Cam Ward, to me, I know Pete had his take on the Mike Ryan show.
I mean, I'm a huge Cam Ward fan, but I just think it's very it's very disrespectful to the Miami staff. Very, very disrespectful. I think they had zero impact on what happened with Cam Ward.
No, I agree with you on that. Bottom line, Cam Ward, I mean, it's a home run. The team was not a home run, although much better than we've had in other years. But the player, come on, guys, this guy was an icon. So that's one portal guy. Go back. Who was the last quarterback you felt really good about at the University of Miami? I would say De'Aaron King. When we had him rolling, portal quarterback. That was the last time I felt good. Before De'Aaron King, you could say Brad Kaya. Right? I know he was very criticized when we had him, but I thought he was a good passer. He was a homegrown guy. But really, go before that, you go all the way to Brock Berlin, who's been in the chat.
Malik, too. Malik, he was a homegrown
Malik.
guy,
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Malik, too, is having a 10-win season. You got to shout out Malik. Some of the biggest wins we've ever had. But then you go back to Brock Berlin. That was the last time we really were a double-digit win team. Obviously, he had a good defense.
Brock's on the chat today, too.
Yeah, he's been all over the chat. So another portal guy. You'll forget, Brock Berlin was a portal guy back before there was a portal. So there's not – and in between all those guys I just named, since Dorsey, I can give you a million homegrown guys that just could not get it done at Miami. It's a hard position to scout. So for me, portal's big. You know we'll be talking about it all. We're already starting now. They talked about it for us with the Todd McShay message. So I love the North Sellers. I think he'd be a great fit. I think CJ Bailey would be a great fit. I think Sam Levitt would be a great fit. I think all of these guys could be really, and any of the young guys, JKS, Malik Washington, who knows who's going to be available. But these are our options. We're going to be some happy Hurricane fans because it's going to raise our floor. We'd like to see what our ceiling is. Right now, we're 6-2. Obviously, got to get to 10-2 to feel a chance in the playoffs.
Travis said, "Did you win with any of these people?" I mean, we just went to the homegrown guys. You didn't win with any of them.
Yeah,
except Malik for that one year. I mean, you won 10 games with a transfer guy last year. And Travis, I don't want to get on you. You're our boy. We really appreciate you. It's just that leap of faith sometimes is not a leap that you always want to take.
The winningest teams of the last 25 years, right? Basically since Dorsey. Let's say 23 years since Dorsey. Brock Berlin's teams, De'Aaron King's teams, Malik Rozier's teams, who was homegrown, and then Cam's team. And we'll see where Beck ends up. If he gets to 10 wins, he'll be in that category as well. So, portal guys.
Yeah, and, I just think that, again, it goes back to we forget what our track record the last 20 years has been, man. So, you got 10 last year. You gotta go finish here. And I actually have our predictions ready. We should start doing this every Friday. We talk about our actual predictions. Let me bring the graphic up here. Just got it in a moment ago from our boy Camden Burton. So
all right, well, you're setting that up here. Let me talk. I'll get some questions on the portal stuff. Raising a Cane says, wasn't a big CJ fan game 1, but game 8, he's looking much improved. I think CJ Bailey, I'm petrified of that game. I think he's on a very much an upward trajectory. He's 6'6". He's got, from all accounts, great intangibles. He's got a great arm. He can run. He's skinny. He's getting stronger. So his release, which was in high school, I think that's one of the reasons why Miami wasn't after him. He just had a really ugly release. That release was a lot cleaner. He's just on an upward trajectory, man. And a lot of these South Florida quarterbacks, look at Mendoza. When Mendoza was in high school, he was committed to Yale. And I will toot my own horn. I eat enough crow on Lofton every day. I said when he was a senior, I said, this guy should be FBS. How's this guy going to Ivy League? Ends up getting an offer from California the last day of the portal of the recruiting season. Goes to Cal. Rest is history. You've seen him develop and then go in the portal to Indiana. So the point is, some of these South Florida guys develop later, and a lot of these quarterbacks develop later. And what you're seeing with Sellers doesn't necessarily reflect what he might be next year. He's a hard worker. He's shown flashes. You know it's in there. So can you get it out of him? I would like to find out. I'm a big fan.
So here we go. We got the predictions here, D. What do you think?
I'm counting on an offensive explosion.
Oh, yeah. Closed it out by accident.
I'm counting on an offensive explosion. I think Syracuse is going to give the ball back a lot. Maybe I overstated the defensive part with 10 points, but Syracuse is one of the worst teams in the country, man. They are very, very bad. We saw with Stanford, Miami played really just one half of football, maybe 2.5 quarters of football, and they still covered a 30-point spread. Syracuse is probably as bad or worse than Stanford. They're in the hundreds on every category, offensively, defensively, per attempt, pass protection, pass rushing. I mean, go down the line. Syracuse is at the bottom. So to me, you got to have this kind of blowout. If it's not this week, you're never going to blow anybody out. You blew out a USF team that was significantly better than Syracuse when you were on your game. I'm betting we're going to get a USF-type performance. I'm the only guy that has any faith in the offense. I don't blame anybody because we've sucked. Trenton Breeze says 31-20. Holy moly.
I have 31-13. I mean.
Yeah, what's the spread? 30? 29?
28. I think it's disrespectful to the opponent. I think Miami's going to cover that based on what we've seen the last 3 weeks.
No, we have stunk, but Syracuse has been, abysmal, and I'm counting on a bounce back against this opponent. Next week, petrified. I'm counting on a bounce back on this opponent, but
listen, I am not concerned about the outcome of the game. Like I'm pretty sure they're going to win this one by a couple scores, but I just don't think that. I also think Syracuse is going to come out and play fired up as you expect every team the rest of the way to play against Miami. You understand there are some ties there. Fran Brown is gonna treat this as a Super Bowl, as is his players, and yeah, I don't think that covers in the cards this week.
Hey, listen, I don't blame the pessimism. That's what we've looked like. So you can only go off what you've seen. I'm projecting. So that's what I'm doing. I'm projecting improvement. Maybe that's just me being a homer, but it's also I just don't think the team we're playing is good at all. I've underrated teams in the past in the ACC, maybe overrated teams outside the ACC like Florida or like FSU. I guess they're an SEC, ACC team, but I don't know. I think we're gonna get back on offense this week. Let's see how it goes. But 31-20. If Trenton's prediction comes true,
31-13. I'm not that far off.
That'll be an ugly day on the boards if it's only 31-13 against his team. Got to give Frank Brown a beating. Put him in his place.
Frank. So we're gonna call him Frank.
Frank.
No.
I actually like Frank Brown. I'm not even.
I do too. Actually, I really do. I'm a fan of his. I like what he's doing. I think if Miami had beaten Syracuse last year, Canes fans wouldn't be, so disapproving of him. But he does what he has to do to land kids, man. I give him credit.
Canes Jones says, if you ever met Mario in person, he's got a petty obsession that he won't forget until he gets revenge. 52-10. I do agree with that. All right, so recruiting, Pete. I want to talk about recruiting. Big recruiting weekend. I know you got some juice. You can check it out on the work Discord, which you put out for members. So focusing first, it's a big weekend for 26 recruits, meaning this next recruiting class, and 27, which is next year's class, this year's juniors. A lot of guys on campus. I want to go through some of their film, talk about some of them, Pete, and get your thoughts, just instant react, particularly some of the 27 running backs. We got some big time 2027 running backs on campus here for the Syracuse game. But starting with the guys that are for this year, in terms of players that these aren't even guys that are visiting necessarily this weekend, but guys that I think we should be focusing on because of where their recruitment processes are at. DeAnthony Lafayette, LSU decommitment from Orlando. You saw his highlights. We put a post on the other day. He's playing tailback, super athletic, super productive pass rusher, short. He's like 6'1". He really is a running back playing. He's like a big running back playing defensive end, but he's as athletic as a running back and extremely productive. The reason why the big schools are after him. I think Miami is surging there. They got a great chance to get DeAnthony Lafayette done. Blake Stewart, Georgia's in the mix now. We know Vanderbilt's been trying to get in there. This is a former Clemson commit. Been Miami's top target at safety, or one of Miami's top targets at safety. I think probably the top target at safety for a long, long time. Miami's pushing. I know Georgia's getting in there. Don't sleep on Miami's ability to get that one done just because Georgia's involved. I'm still feeling pretty good about Miami's chances there.
Working against mom there, but
working. It's a process. Logan Nagel, defensive lineman from New Jersey. He will be on campus this weekend. Isaac Chukwura, Penn State decommit.
Big fan of his.
From Delaware. Believes Philadelphia area, goes to like a prep school in Delaware. Very athletic defensive tackle. You know, Penn State gets those guys ready for the draft, as does Pittsburgh with Logan Nagel. So those are two schools you kind of want to recruit against. Both those guys on campus. I know you like both those guys.
Yeah, shout out to the people in the defensive line department. I think doing a really good job with some of these later evals. I think Frederick Saintis was one that obviously happened a month plus ago. But Isaac Chukwura, he's the one I'm looking at, D, that they're very, very intrigued with. And you mentioned this, I think, a couple of days ago on the show. I don't know that I was on the show with you, but he's someone that, regardless of who commits, right, we talk about, is this a replacement? This is someone they want, regardless of who's in that class. And we have to respect what James Franklin has done in terms of the evaluations on the defensive line. And I feel very good about that one. I've been talking about him a lot on the Discord the last 3 weeks or so since Miami offered. A lot of fans in the building of him.
And I'd throw Logan Nagel in the mix, like a Matt Walters comparison, not just because he's a tall white guy, just that defensive end, defensive tackle, lean body type, kind of upright but quick. I like Logan Nagel. I think both those guys would be takes, as would Lafayette. These are not backup plans to anybody. All the blue chippers that we talk about all the time. These guys are pretty highly recruited guys. I mean, we're not talking about guys we're getting from Austin Peay. But like all the big names, the Nolan Wilsons, Bryce Perrice, all those guys, Drake Quinn, those guys are still very much in the mix, very much priorities. Tank Jones, nothing changes.
I would say Tank Jones is going to be tough, very tough at this point, D. That's just my opinion on it. I think they've definitely lingered in the Bryce Perry Wright thing more than people realize. And they were closer to landing him the first time around than people realize. Now, A&M's not giving him much of a reason right now. It's kind of what's happened with Tank Jones in Oregon, and I think with Tank, Dan Lanning has taken that recruitment, really, really grabbed it by the horns there, and I think he understands what he means to that class for them. But Bryce Perry Wright's an interesting one. Wilson, don't think that one's dead yet, like you just mentioned. I still think they land one of those guys. Me
too. So when you hear names like Chukwura, Logan Nagel, Lafayette, these are not replacements. These are pluses. These are guys that we want on top of the other guys. So just keep that in mind when we talk about some of those names. Vance Spafford, the wide receiver from Orange County, top 100 player, Miami commitment, 4.35 speed. You want that speed on this year's team. Need some guys that can get downfield. Vance Spafford can do that. He's been injured this season. Nothing that's going to impact his Miami career, but he's out. So haven't been able to get a lot of film on him as a senior. One of those things that happens, but nothing that's, again, going to impact him. Like, it's not like he tore his Achilles or anything like that. He'll be fine for Miami. He's visiting this weekend. Obviously, Miami loves him, and that's why he's visiting this weekend. And Miami's going to try to keep him here. I don't see any doubt that someone's trying to take him or anything like that. But you want to keep these guys. You got to recruit the guys you have on your team and in your class. And Vance Spafford's one of those guys. He's visiting this weekend. I think that's a good thing. And Miami would love to keep him in the class. Again, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. 4.35 speed would help this receiving core a lot because we do not have anybody. Aside from maybe Malachi Toney, I don't know what he's running these days. He looks faster. That's in that 4.3 range. And Vance Spafford, he gives you that raw horsepower on top of being a good route runner, good player. So those are the guys for this class. Now, next year, Pete, I want to get your thoughts on some of these guys. So we got 3 running backs on campus from the class of 2027, 3 blue chip tailbacks. I want to get your thoughts. Starting here with Braden Tyson out of Snellville, Georgia, 4-star player. Let's watch some highlights here. Kind of an upright runner, but man, he when he gets going, nice and easy speed. And look at that size, man. This is a big dude. Oh, let's see if he gets hawked down.
They like the big backs.
Yeah, he's a big dude. Got to hawk down a little bit, but I mean, he had enough speed to get done. This is big time football too, by the way. Here you go.
Whatever happened to
that there
kid?
It is. Look at that. Boom.
I mean, just based off, he looks fine. But you know who I liked earlier in the cycle? Greg Olson's running back. I wonder whatever happened with that kid.
Yeah, he visited, and that didn't happen. I'll see how he's doing as a senior. Nice move here. So Braden Tyson, number 17 running back in the country, 4-star player. You see the size. You saw him play fullback a little bit. This is your bigger back, which we know they like. Here you see him at Wildcat. Watching the highlights, kind of like Lakai Tompkins from IMG, who we were looking at for a while here. This is the Louisville commit. Just that bigger, versatile back. Amari Latimer, another guy for this year's class, reminds me of that too. Just a big Georgia back who can do some things.
Yeah, obviously, this isn't, I don't think, a great sign with Amari Latimer, no?
I don't think this is 27. I don't think it has anything to do with anything. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is 27. So Latimer Miami's putting a lot of work into.
Did not realize.
Yeah. These are all 27 guys. Yes, Pete. So these are all 27 guys.
Man, I don't know, man. I'm getting AJ Dillon vibes with that Boston College looking
nice
uniforms.
Move. These guys got some nice moves. He's definitely a bigger back, not the fastest guy. Now that the more you watch him,
I would love to see some speed, man, at the position. I really think you need some more speed. You have a Pringle. He's not getting the ball, but I want to see. I'm a little tired of the big lumbering backs. They're nice, but you need some diversity.
Well, I think even diversity. I think I'm not tired of them in terms of we got to have power, right? Power backs are a staple of every team that wins in college football. But I agree, you need some juice. You need to get Gerard Pringle going.
All right, let's see. Hope maybe this one's a little bit more. I can't say that one popped out at me, D. I'm gonna be very honest with you.
Yeah, I think that's well like the size. Here we go. This is #1 running back in the country. Come on, Spell out of Pennsylvania, right here. You see him fight here. This is like I said, 5-star player, Penn State decommit, #1 running back in the country. We probably should have led it with this one.
Yeah, this is it already looks different with him. I mean,
yeah, I don't know if this guy's
lighter on his feet, man.
Yeah, this guy.
Yeah, this is different.
Yeah, he's there's a reason why this guy's a 5-star. Competition's not as tight either, by the way. I should say that, right? The competition's a little lighter, but yeah, this again we're talking about the #1 running back in America, 5-star player, Penn State decommit. Getting him on campus this quickly after his decommit is huge. This guy's a strong dude, man. He easily is breaking some of these tackles.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, you like 5-star players.
I didn't even know the difference, but you can see it.
Yeah, #1 running back in the country, and you see how built this guy is. This guy's definitely ready for college.
Look at him lining up there.
Look at
Alonzo Highsmith style.
Yeah, seriously. It's like, there we go.
I don't want to watch the other one again, D.
There you go.
I want to watch guys like this, man.
That's why they're 5-star players, man. Penn State's doing pretty good with running backs too. They know what they're doing. Look at this. Woo!
Hassan.
Yeah. Oof.
Hassan, I love you, my brother. He says Miami needs a back like Adrian Peterson. We need speed with great vision.
Yeah, we do.
I wish, man. I wish. That's a generational talent.
Yeah.
That's the best running back I've ever seen.
I think so. He's the best running back probably I've seen. I didn't see O.J. Simpson or Jim Brown or guys like that, but Adrian Peterson definitely put in that. But this guy's this is what I love, man. Playing defense. Look at that. Look at the footwork playing defense. Oh, and he catches it with his hands. Look at the high pointing, man. This is an athlete right here. Yeah, this guy's good. This guy is good. Visiting this weekend. 27. It looked like McGahee with that stiff arm. 2027. I don't know what how far along we're with any of these guys. I think this is sort of the introductory process, but you have to make a good impression. See if Jordan Lau can make some nice runs with Pringle, because you want to see the running game put on a show for these guys, because this guy right here is a player. See what else we got in the running back room. Another 4-star player in Elijah Kimball. Watch his film here. This is his sophomore video for Kimball. Elijah Kimball out of Buffalo, New York, #13 running back in the country. So not a 5-star like Spell, but another blue chip player. You want to talk about speed? Here we go. That's a nice kick return. Let's see if he can beat that angle easily. There we go. There's some speed right there. Another 80-yard rushing touchdown. You can already tell he's not as big as some of the guys we just looked at, but the speed. Woo! Yeah, this guy can run. Yeah. Buffalo, New York. I know the competition's not that good, but this guy, you could tell he's got some horsepower to him.
Yeah, I know we're talking about 27D, but there's some comments here. Some people say, let me pull this up. Steven Smith says, I'm sure there will be a running back out of South Florida we didn't recruit and went after these guys that will be much better than these two. I mean, we're a year away.
Like Isaac Brown kind of deal?
Yeah, Isaac Brown. I mean, I think, honestly, you look at the issue with this year's class, man, I think the mistake was, and I just put it in the comments here, the mistake was not taking Jay Lamar when he was essentially ready to commit.
No, but Jay Lamar, he got suspended from his high school team. There's some character stuff there, Pete. Yeah.
I mean, I would still
talent-wise,
I would still have taken him.
Yeah, but I think that was the issue with him.
You're scrambling now for a running back at the end of the class, so I don't know. I still would have taken him, but
I think it depends. You got to get Amari Latimer, because Amari Latimer is look. This guy's electric. I'm liking this guy right here, Kimball. This guy's got some serious juice. I know the competition's bad. Look at this nice setting right here in this Buffalo, New York, man. You ever wanted to live up here in this northern territory?
No, not at all. No.
Wow. This guy,
I almost went to Syracuse. This is the game. I had a full ride to Syracuse to turn that one down. But
you would have been working at like NBC or something. Now you're on the CanesInSight.
Now I'm on CanesInSight, man. Maybe I do have regrets. I don't know.
Look at this guy. What I like about this guy Kimball here is not just the the speed. It's the speed and quickness, right? Sometimes you get these track guys that they're just lateral. They're just vertical. This guy's got some lateral quicks too. He just seems like he's got light feet. I don't know how big he is. It's hard to tell here with this film and the fact that it's it's not the best competition, but man, electric. All right, I like what I'm seeing here. Next guy I want to talk about, switching gears to the other side of the ball, Jaden Bryant, 6'4", 240-pound defensive end out of Columbia, South Carolina, number 5 edge. This is basically the same story we've seen. You're recruiting the South. You're trying to get guys that are highly rated, Southern, really anywhere in the country, defensive line recruits, but certainly in the South, you see Drake Quinn, Tank Jones, Bryce Perry-Wright, some guys we're trying to get that are those big blue chip Southern guys. Keyshawn Stansel already committed. But here's what you got, Jaden Bryant, number 5 defensive end in the country, so clearly a high recruit. And I think it's only a 3-game sample, so it's not like the full highlight reel. It's just the first 3 games of this season. So this was back in September. But, I mean, this is all one game, and you already see this guy flying around. Whoop! Nice finish. I think he also plays some offense, I believe. But, yeah, this is all the same game we're watching here against this white and red team.
I wish they zoomed in a little bit more on the camera.
Yeah. Man. This quarterback's having a rough one here. Columbia, South Carolina, obviously the home of South Carolina Gamecocks. Clemson's not that far away, but neither of those programs are doing too well. Nice play right here. This is a good one-game film, man. This guy's making a lot of plays here. You see why he's number 5 edge in the country, but he's visiting this weekend. Jason Taylor going to be working on that. You got to get on these guys early. They're all going to be battles. I've seen enough here. This guy's got some juice. Don't know how big he is, right? 6'4", 240 is what he's listed as. Number 5 edge. Hard to tell from this angle, but you can see he's got quickness and he's making a lot of plays, run and pass. Yeah,
looks good. Again, I can. It's very hard for me to see this. It's very tiny. I can't. I mean, I see him.
He's only about 5'2", 120 pounds based on my visual analysis.
Yeah. Looks good though.
Yeah, looks good. All right, another edge up we got to get to here. Chaz Gray, that same size, same listed size, 6'4", 240 pounds, but now in the northern part of the country in New Jersey. Watch some sophomore highlights here. See what we got here in New Jersey. Good size. A lot of New Jersey ties on our staff. There we go. He looks hard to tell. Again, I'm trying to just kind of measure the size. He's only a sophomore in these clips, but highly rated player with Chaz Gray. He is a 4-star, as are all these guys out of New Jersey, an area Miami's had success trying to get Logan Nagel. We talked about this class from New Jersey. It's crazy seeing all these forests in these clips, man. So used to seeing like swamps and canals with peacock bass in the background, and you're seeing these beautiful forests here. But let's see here, bull rush. Hard to watch too much on sophomore with defensive linemen. Oftentimes guys make a big jump.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, D. Milan says it here. None of these guys have really popped out to me. I can't sugarcoat it. Based on this tape, at least.
Yeah, no, listen. I hear you. These are sophomore tapes, but these are not guys I'm trying to hype.
No, I get it. I know these are real targets.
But not just the real targets. These are the blue chip guys, right? All these guys are ranked as 4-star players. So fiscal files say rankings no matter on senior film before I'm high on a guy. We talked about it. Senior film has been very, very important to the staff. You've seen guys go up and down when it comes to our own board. Blake Stewart, DeAnthony Lafayette, Logan Nagel. Those are all guys with the arrow pointing up. Last edge, we're going to talk about another New Jersey guy, Jackson Vaughn, who's ranked as the number 5 edge in America. So last guy, but another highly rated guy. Let's see if this one pops for you, Pete.
These are I've heard of this one. I heard there's a big time interest from his end. So
all right, well, let's hope he's good here.
I'm hearing that he's going to reclass to 27.
To 26, like this year?
No, 20. Well, he's a 28 kid.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yes, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
I'm hearing.
So this is his freshman. This is his freshman video, actually. Nice bend, nice finish. Yeah, this is a freshman. That's pretty good. Number 5 edge, I guess, in that 28 class.
Yeah, there's some other schools in the mix. Is it A&M? That's also in the mix that I've heard is a big time contender for him as well. I don't know if it's A&M, but there's another school that's definitely very high on his list. But this would be, as a guy who's going to reclass, would be nice to make an impression on him.
So there you have it, man. You got 3 blue chip defensive ends, 3 blue chip running backs, and we're closing on a lot of top 26 targets. Keep an eye on Blake Stewart and DeAnthony Lafayette. I think there's some momentum there. But as always, it's Friday, Pete. So you know what that means. Miami Hurricane Team Store. You want to congratulate this man for his outstanding performance yesterday, or his team's outstanding performance yesterday. You can do it in person. Obviously, hope a lot more to come, and not just Bethune. But Jay Lucas, coach of the Miami Hurricanes, meet and greet at the Miami Hurricane Team Store. That's today, Friday, 5 to 6 p.m., right there next to the Thesis Hotel across the street from the University of Miami on South Dixie Highway. Use promo code INSIGHT20, get 20% off your first item. 5 to 6 today at the Miami Hurricane Team Store.
We got the home game this weekend. I know a lot of you guys will be at the game. If you're going to be tailgating, of course, Lomello's Meat Market. Check out lomellos.com. Fresh Wagyu beef delivered to your door. Promo code CIS10 for 10% off your order. If you're local, of course, 9810 South Dixie Highway. But you see all the beautiful options of meat they've got at Lomello's Meat Market.
Let's go Canes, baby. Shout out Lomello's. Go Canes.
Go Canes.